In the season 1 finale, Alexis said something I've been thinking about ever since. She said, "The room is yours. Walk in prepared." Season 2 is about the woman who did.
I've been in this business for 45 years. I have watched thousands of women walk into the most consequential financial moments of their lives. Some of them walked out whole, some of them didn't. The difference was never intelligence, it was never resources, it was never when timing. It was one decision made differently.
This season, we go inside that decision. Not the inspirational version, the tactical one, the specific move, the exact moment, the thing she did that everyone else in the same situation didn't do. Season 2 is called The Inner Circle because what we're about to share is the conversation that happens behind closed doors in the offices, estate attorneys, in the conference rooms of family wealth advisors, in the private negotiations that never make it into public record. We're at that door.
I spent 45 years making sure certain conversations stayed behind closed doors. I'm choosing to find this liberating. Welcome back. I'm Alexis Nassif.
And I am Natalie Francine. This is Wealth, War, and Real Estate, Season 2, The Inner Circle.
For women, by women, and men too.
Let's start with the pattern because before we get into the individual stories, I want to name what we consistently see in the woman who comes out of high stakes real estate situations, divorce, probate, estate transfers, with their wealth not just intact, but have grown. There is one decision that separates them from everyone else, one move. They hired independently before the crisis arrived.
I want to be specific about what independently means because most women think they have independent counsels when they don't. Your divorce attorney is independent from your spouse's attorney, but your divorce attorney is not a real estate specialist. Your estate attorney drafted your trust, but they are not managing the estate of the properties inside it. Your financial advisor is managing your portfolio, but not evaluating the real estate your husband has been managing for 30 years. Independent means a real estate professional whose entire job is to evaluate and maximize the real estate component of your situation, specifically, not as a sideline, it's a primary job.
And before the crisis arrived means exactly that. Not 1 week before, not the morning of mediation, not after you've already agreed to a settlement that gave away half of the appreciation of property you didn't know how to value. The women who win are the ones who built their team before they needed it. Think of it like insurance. Nobody buys home insurance after the fire, except apparently in real estate negotiations where people do this consistently and then wonder what happened.
I've seen this in every context, divorce, probate, estate sales. The women who had their team assembled before the proceeding began operated from a completely different position than the women who assembled it during. One of them had options, the other was managing triage.
The second thing women who won had in common, they knew the numbers, not approximately, specifically. They knew the current market value of every piece of real estate in the estate. Not the Zillow estimates, not what their husband told them it was worth, not what it was assessed at 3 years ago for property tax purposes, the actual current independently appraised market value.
Absolutely. This matters more than most people understand. In a divorce settlement, property is divided based on what its value. If it doesn't have an independent appraisal, you are negotiating from a number someone else chose. I have seen settlements where the wife accepted a property at a valuation that was $200,000 below its actual market value because she didn't have her own appraiser and that didn't know how to get one. She didn't know. $200,000 in a single negotiation because of a number nobody challenged.
And the inverse is equally true in an estate. If property is undervalued, the heirs leave money on the table. If it's overvalued, which happens in contested estates, when one of the heirs wants to force a buyout, you overpay for what your own inheritance is. The number matters. Know your number.
I once watched a woman accept a settlement on property based on an appraisal from her husband's college roommate. I'm going to let that sentence sit there for a moment with you. Can you believe it?
The husband's roommate?
Yeah.
Oh, it's worth $5,000, baby.
Exactly. That's the truth. She believed it.
I can't. Wow.
Anyway. Victoria, the divorce that went right. All names have been changed and not the situations. I'll call her Victoria again. 22-year marriage, significant real estate portfolio, the family home, 2 investment properties, and a vacation property that had been in her husband's family before their marriage. Victoria came to me 6 months before she filed for divorce, not because she knew she was going to file. She was still hoping to save the marriage. But she had started to feel, in her words, like it wasn't going to be done.
The sense of not knowing what you own is one of the most important signals a woman can listen to. It's almost never wrong.
We spent 3 months doing a complete inventory, every property, titling, current market value, outstanding obligations, cash flow on the investment properties, the vacation property, which was separate property, pre-marriage, and what the appreciation during the marriage meant for community property purposes. When Victoria filed, she walked into mediation knowing more about her estate position than her husband did. Not because she was hiding anything, because nobody had ever laid it all out in one place before.
What was the outcome of Victoria's situation?
She received a settlement that included the family home, which she chose to sell immediately, a decision that freed her financially, one of the investment properties, which has since been generating income that covers her mortgage on a new property that she purchased entirely in her own name. Her attorney told her it was the cleanest, highest asset divorce settlement she had ever seen because the real estate piece was already resolved before negotiation began.
The cleanest high asset divorce settlement the attorney had ever seen. I want to cross-stitch that onto something. Know your real estate. Have clean divorce. Available at Etsy.
Very good. I love that. Perfect. I wonder how much that would sell for.
I know. My story for this episode is Margaret, which is interesting because in season 1 we told a Margaret story, the widow who was defrauded. This is a different Margaret, same vulnerability, completely different outcome. This Margaret lost her husband after a 40-year marriage. Significant estate, family home, 3 investment properties, a commercial building her husband had owned for decades.
What did she do differently from the Margaret in season 1? Tell me.
She called us first. Before she called the estate attorney, before she talked to the financial advisor, before she responded to any of the 3, I'll say professionals, who reached out offering to help her manage everything. She called us because her husband had mentioned my name to her 2 years before he died. He said, if anything happens to me, call Natalie and Alexis before you sign anything.
He prepared her. That is the thing that changed everything. Preparation.
He did. And because she called us first, I was able to walk her through exactly what each of those three helpful professionals was actually promising, what the financial terms were, what she would be giving up, what she would be signing away. One of them was entirely predatory. The other two were legitimate if that's the best, if not the best option for her situation. She didn't sign anything for 60 days. We assembled her team, we got the independent appraisals, we structured the estate sale on a timeline that served her, not the market, not the buyer in a hurry, not a family member with their own agenda. She came out with everything her husband built intact, producing her income in her name.
He said, call Natalie before you sign anything. That is either the most romantic thing I've ever heard or the most practical. In this business, I've decided those are the same thing, romance and practicality. For sure.
Oh, for sure.
Claire inherited her mother's estate at 61. 3 properties, the family home and 2 rentals her mother had purchased in the 1980s. No mortgage on any of them. Her financial advisor recommended that she liquidated all 3 immediately and invest the proceeds. The logic was reasonable on its face, simplifying diversity. The management burden of the real estate would, at her age, would be way too much.
What was the actual value of those properties?
Combined, approximately $4.2 million. The 2 rentals were generating $68,000 a year in income net after expenses on properties with no debt. Her financial advisor's recommendation would have triggered capital gains on all 3 properties. On properties purchased in the 1980s, the basis was low, the gain was enormous.
What did the tax picture actually look like then?
Well, because she inherited, and this is the stepped up basis that we'll cover in depth in episode 2, her basis reset to the current market value at the time of her mother's death. The capital gains exposure was dramatically lower than it would have been had her mother sold during her lifetime. But her financial advisor hadn't run the analysis. He was recommending liquidation based on a general principle: simplify, without knowing the specific tax position she was in.
And what else did she do?
She kept the rentals, hired a property manager, sold the family home, which made complete sense. She didn't need the space, and the carrying costs were significant. The 2 rentals continued to generate income. She reinvested the proceeds from the family home into a smaller property closer to where she lives now. Her estate is larger today than it was the day she inherited it.
Her financial advisor's advice would have cost her somewhere in the range of, let's be conservative, $400,000 in unnecessary taxes and lost income. He charged her for a management fee for the advice. This irony is not lost on me.
No, it shouldn't be, because it's the truth. They're out to get you sometimes, and you have to be very, very astute and careful.
Well, especially at the time of those life transitions when your mind is not clear about
when somebody passes away and you're already emotional.
That's right. Season 2 is 8 episodes. We are not going back to the basics. You have the foundation from season 1. What we're building now is the advanced curriculum, the conversations that happen inside the inner circle.
Episode 2, the California Tax War, Proposition 13, Proposition 19, the stepped up basis advantage Claire almost gave away, 1031 exchanges, and the tax strategies that sophisticated California property owners are using right now to protect their serious wealth.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Episode 3, The Great Divorce, the most expensive split, most people have ever heard of. Adults over 50 now account for 46% of all divorces. And women's standard of living drops 45% after great divorce. We are going inside the numbers, the real estate, and the strategies that change that outcome.
Episode 4, Trust Architecture. Not whether you need a trust, you do. How sophisticated estates are actually structured. LLCs, irrevocable trust, family limited partnership, charitable remainder trust. The specific tools that protect serious wealth across generations.
Episode 5, The Hidden Estate, cryptocurrency, art, jewelry, business interests, mineral rights, the assets that don't show up on a standard balance sheet and create the biggest surprises in estate proceedings.
Episode 6, The Predator's Playbook. How high net worth women are specifically targeted after divorce and death, and the exact protections that stop it before it starts.
Episode 7, The Prenup Conversation.
Big one.
Why high net worth women need prenuptial agreements and how to have that conversation that most people avoid until it's too late to have it well.
Episode 8, Legacy on Your Terms, Dynasty Trust, Generational Transfer Strategy, and the specific documents that ensure your wealth goes where you want it to go, not where a court decides it should.
8 episodes, 0 basics. Welcome to
the inner circle.
Your actions this week are simple. And if you did the season 1 work, you already have the foundation for them. First, know the current market value of every piece of real estate that you own or stand to inherit, not the estimate. The number an independent appraiser would give you today. Second, identify who your current team is specifically responsible for your estate component of your financial picture. If the answer is nobody, that's your first move. Third, if you are in a marriage with a significant real estate and no prenuptial agreement, episode 7 is going to be important for you. Start thinking about that conversation now.
The women who won did not win because the circumstances were better. In most cases, the circumstances were the same as the women who lost, or worse. They won because they were prepared, because they had the right team, because they knew the number, because someone, a friend, a professional, a partner who thought ahead, who made sure they walked into the room with what they needed. The preparation is available to you. This season is how you get it.
Next week, the California tax war. If you own property in California, this episode is going to change how you think about what you have and what it's worth to protect. I am Natalie Francine.
I'm Alexis Nassif. The Inner Circle is now open. This is Wealth, War, and Real Estate.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Remember what we said.
Preparation.
Be ready.